I'm asking this myself a lot. Is there like a pre-planned purpose within us, or do we have like a saying in that? Because there are things that are just more right for us than other things. And there is this old argument of nature versus nurture, which is a very important argument. But you can always see the exceptions of the rule. For example, my mom, she was like growing up in a family of, Handwerker is the German word, like people who are building something with their hands, like constructionists. And she was totally drawn to education, to wisdom, to learning, and was due to that the black sheep of the family. And still, you could make an argument that it still was nature in some way from an external source, maybe from grandparents, whatever it is. But I do feel that there are probably both elements a part in this. Because when I, for example, decided to become stand-up comedian, yeah, like all my friends would say, yeah, for sure, David is funny. That seems very fitting. And it was like a dream of my childhood. So I thought, yeah, that makes total sense. But as soon as I went into comedy and went in hardcore and performed over 100 times and performed every single day of the week, that was the moment when I realized I am lying to myself. This is not what I'm supposed to do. That feels wrong. I don't enjoy this process. It's not coming from my heart. It's coming from my ego. And it's when I let this go and this other thing fell into my lap. The next day after I made the decision to stop comedy, that's a complete different feeling of the process, And all of a sudden I feel, yes, that's it. That's what I should be doing. So I think there is definitely an element to, there is just this thing in us that we're supposed to find. And when we find it, we just know. We just know it on a very deep level. Because it is just so easy for us to do it, and it's just so much fun, and it's just, we can do it 10 hours a day, 16 hours a day, and it still feels like play. And for other people, it would feel like work, and it looks like work from the outside. And I think that's always like a good sign when we can understand, or when we can perceive that and kind of know, yeah, I arrived where I'm supposed to arrive, and from now on I can go in deeper into this. But finding that's like the really, really difficult thing, because when your life is meaningless, that's such a horrible existence. So many, for example, CEOs who sell their companies that they built their whole life, for like 100 millions or so, they get deeply miserable afterwards, because no amount of money is worth a lack of purpose, And it was for me one of the hardest things to live without a meaning. I made so many very drastic decisions to find my purpose. I lived in a forest for 4.5 months almost. I flew to South America to take ayahuasca. I walked the Camino Santiago twice, which is like 2,000 kilometers, and 80 days of walking, just to arrive at myself and to be clear what I want to do. And, that's another topic that I thought that was very interesting. When people tell me that they have ADHD and they suffer from that because they don't get to focus so much, or because they're all over the place. But I'm not 100% sure, I'm not diagnosed or anything, but I can imagine that I have this myself. And the moment I found the thing that I'm supposed to do, I could channel all this you know, all this energy that was that was too much into this one thing. And now, you know, I create, and I have just such a insane workload on that, and I can just go about it hard and not lose sight of it and just keep on going hardcore. And I think that's why people think about ADHD in a wrong way, because it's a fucking superpower as soon as you realized what you want to do with this life, because there is like this hyper focus element and this endless energy almost. Yeah, if it's, you know, if it's like discarded and all over the place, yes, then it's like obviously super difficult to deal with. But if you know where to channel it into, then it's like, you know, jackpot. It is a jackpot. And if you don't use it, and if you cannot use it yet, then you just maybe have to find the right thing for you, where to channel it into. And I can tell it is just such a complete different way of life when you found your purpose compared to when you haven't found it, because that's just such a big hole in the system, such a big desire. I don't like the word desire, but it's such a big desire. And as soon as that's fulfilled, it's still a lot of work, but it's just so easy to get up in the morning. It's just, you know what to work on and where to put your time, energy, and focus on towards. And, you know, attracting a person then from that full cup, you know, it's just such a, you attract a person who has the same full amount of cup and who's on their journey to fulfill their purpose. And it's just, you know, it's all just like an elevating spiral towards, you know, towards your higher self and towards contributing to this humanity and eventually raise the consciousness of the humanity to, in the last part, make this consciousness of Earth becoming like a God's consciousness.